Our progress report says we are at stage 6, paragraph page 457. Okay, and our last headword was odd, new word type of lesson. Okay, so let's start with our revision. Ready?
Okay,
Here we go. First question. What do you consider to be the best occupation in the world? What do you consider to be the best occupation in the world? I consider
I consider a doctor
to
is
be
one
to
to
be the
be
best occupation
best
in the world.
occupation in the world.
Why must we consider carefully before making an important decision? Why must we consider carefully before making an important decision? We must
We
consider
must
carefully
consider
before
carefully
making
before
an
making
important
an
decision
important
because
decision
if we
because
don't
if
consider
we don't
carefully,
consider
we might make
carefully, we might
a
make
big
a
mistake.
big mistake.
Very good. What's the difference between the words what and whatever? What's the difference between the words what and whatever? The difference
The
between
difference
the
between
words what
the
and
words what
whatever
and
is
whatever
that we
is
use
that
the
we
word what
use the word what
in a limited
in
sense,
a limited
whereas
sense,
we use
whereas
the
we
word
use
whatever
word
in a
whatever
more
we in
unlimited
a
sense.
more unlimited sentence
Very good.
sense.
In unlimited sense.
Unlimited sense.
Very good. If you could buy whatever you wanted, what would you buy? If you could buy whatever you wanted, what would you buy? If I could buy
If I could
whatever
buy
I wanted,
whatever I
I'd
wanted,
buy.
I'd buy my own house.
Very good. Can you go for a holiday whenever you like? Can you go for a holiday whenever you like? Yes or no?
Yes,
I can go
I
for a
can go
holiday
on a holiday
whenever I
on
like.
when
Whenever
wherever
I
where
like.
I like.
One more. Yes, I can go
Yes, I
for a
can go
holiday
for a holiday
whenever I like.
wherever I like
Very good. Why? Why? Because I
because
have
I
control
I have
of my
control
schedule.
of my schedule.
Very good. If you could go wherever you like in the world, where'd you go? If you could go wherever you like in the world, where'd you go? If I could go
If I could
wherever
go
I like
wherever
in the
I
world,
like in the
I'd go
world,
to.
I'd go to Hawaii.
Very good. If you could meet whoever you wanted in the world, who would you prefer to meet? If you could meet whoever you wanted in the world, who would you prefer to meet? If I could meet
If I could meet
whoever I wanted
whoever
in the
I
world,
wanted in
I'd
the world,
prefer to meet.
I prefer to meet Mr. A.
Very good. Do you always tell the truth? Do you always tell the truth? Yes or no?
No,
I
I
don't
don't
always tell the
always
truth.
tell the truth.
Sometimes I
I
tell
sometimes I
lies.
tell lies.
Why not? Why not?
Um,
Because it's
because
sometimes necessary
it's sometimes
to
necessary
tell lies
to
in
tell
order
lies
not to
in
be
order not
unpleasant.
to be unpleasant.
Right? Do newspapers always tell the truth? Do newspapers always tell the truth? No.
No,
Newspapers don't
newspapers
always
don't
tell the truth.
always tell the truth.
Sometimes they tell
Sometimes
lies.
they tell lies.
Very good. Why do they sometimes tell lies? Why do they sometimes tell lies? They sometimes
They
tell lies
sometimes tell
because
lies because they don't have enough time to confirm the information.
very good. Okay, what's the opposite of the verb to catch? What's the opposite of the verb to catch? The opposite of the
The
verb to
opposite of
catch
the verb to catch
is to
is to
miss.
miss.
If I threw my pen to you, do you think you'd catch it or miss it? If I threw my pen to you, do you think you'd catch it or miss it? If you threw
If
your
you
pen to me,
threw your pen to
I
me,
think I'd
I think I'd miss to it.
miss it. Very good.
Miss it.
Are you in the habit of missing trains and buses? Are you in the habit of missing trains and buses? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'm
I'm
in the
in
habit
hurry
of missing
of
trains
missing the
and buses.
trains and buses
Very good. Why? Why? Because I
because
always leave
I
everything
always leave
to the last
everything
minute
to
and
the last
then have
minute
to
and
hurry.
then I have to hurry.
Very good. How long do you have to be away from home before you begin to miss your family and friends? How long do you have to be away from home before you begin to miss your family and friends? I have to be
I
away
have
from
to
a
be
home.
from
What? I
away
have to
from
be
I have to be
away from home
away from
for
home
about
for, the,
hello
for about 6 months.
before I
Hello,
miss. Okay,
before I make.
one more, one moment. Let me reconnect. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
one more. So, how long do you have to be away from home before you begin to miss your family and friends? How long do you have to be away from home before you miss your family and friends? I have to be
For about six
away
months
from home
before from
for
home
about
for about 6 months
before I miss
before I missed
my family and
my
friends.
family and friends.
Very good. Okay, one moment. The system is loading. Okay, one moment. I can't see the book now. Okay, so while waiting, do you have work today?
No, I have no work.
Today,
It's
it's
in holiday
it's holiday in Japan.
in Japan. Yeah.
Oh, okay, very good. Okay, so let's continue. Did you miss the last lesson? Did you miss the last lesson? Yes or no?
No,
I didn't
the
miss
I didn't
the
miss
last lesson.
the last lesson.
Very good. Okay, next. Do you think that a union of all the countries in Europe will ever be possible? Do you think that a union of all the countries in Europe will ever be possible? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think
I
that
think
a
that
union of
a
all the
union of
countries
all
in
the
Europe
countries in
will one
Europe
day
will
be
one day
possible.
be possible.
Very good. What is a trade union? What is a trade union? A trade union
A trade
is
union
an
is
organization
an
composed
organization
of workers
composed of
from a
workers
particular
from a
industry.
particular
It
industry.
protects the
It,
workers
it protects workers
and fight to
and
improve
fight
their
to
pay
improve
and
their pay
conditions.
and conditions.
Are you in favor of trade unions? Are you in favor of trade unions? Yes or no?
No,
I'm not
I'm
in favor
not in
of
favor
trade
of
unions.
trade unions.
Very good. What can we use rope for? What can we use rope for? We can use
We
rope
can use
for
rope
climbing
for
mountains,
climbing
pulling
mountains,
things,
pulling
etc.
things, etc.
Very good. Okay. What did you see if you climbed the stairs to the top of your building? What did you see if you climbed the stairs to the top of your building? If I climb
If
the
I climb
stairs
the
to the
stairs
top of
to
my
the top
building,
of my
I'd
building,
see.
I'd see other buildings.
Very good. Is it easy to climb to the top of the music industry and stay there? Is it easy to climb to the top of the music industry and stay there? No, it
No,
isn't
it
easy
isn't
to
easy
climb to the
to
top
climb to
of
the
the
top
music
of
industry
the music
and stay
industry
there.
and stay
It's
there.
difficult.
It's difficult.
Very good. If you lost your keys, where would you look for them first? If you lost your keys, where would you look for them first? If I lost
If
my
I lost
keys,
my
I would look
keys,
for them
I would look
in
for them
my
in my pocket at
purse.
first.
Very good. Where do people go when they are looking for justice? Where do people go when they are looking for justice? People go to
People
the law
go to
courts
the law
when they are
courts when
looking
they
for
are
justice.
looking for justice.
Like, would you like the job of a judge? Would you like the job of a judge? Yes or no?
No,
I wouldn't like. I
I
wouldn't
don't
like
like
the job of a
the
judge.
job of the
One more.
job of a judge.
One more. No, I wouldn't
No,
like
I don't
the
like
job of a
to
judge.
the job of a judge.
Very good. How do we form verbs from certain adjectives or nouns? How do we form verbs from certain adjectives or nouns? We form
We
verbs
form
from
verbs
certain
from
adjectives or
certain
nouns
adjectives
by
for
adding
nouns
the
by
letters
adding
en.
the letters en.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples, please. Dark, darken.
Dark, darkening,
Short, shorten,
short, shorten,
etc.
etc.
Very good. What does the verb to darken mean? What does the verb to darken mean? The verb to
The
darken
verb
means
to
to
darken
make
means
darker
to make
or
a
to get
darker
darker.
or to get darker.
Right. If our trousers are too long, what must we do to them? If our trousers are too long, what must we do to them? If our
If
trousers
our
are too
trousers
long,
are too
we
long,
must shorten
we
them.
must shorten them.
Do the days lengthen or shorten as we go towards summer? Do the days lengthen or shorten as we go towards summer? The days lengthen
There is the
as we
lantern
go
as we
toward
go
summer.
toward summer.
Do you think sport can strengthen the friendship between different countries? Do you think sport can strengthen the friendship between different countries? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think
I
sport
think
can
sport
strengthen the
can
friendship
strengthen to friendship
between different
between
countries.
different countries.
Right? How many syllables must an adjective or noun have in order for us to form a verb from it? How many syllables must an adjective or noun have in order for us to form a verb from it? An adjective or
An
noun
adjective
must
or
have
noun
only
must have
one
only
syllable
one
in
syllable
order for us
in order
to
for
form
us
a verb from it.
for to form a verb to it
From it.
from it.
Very good. Can we form verbs from all adjectives and nouns of one syllable? Can we form verbs from all adjectives or nouns of one syllable? No, we can't
No,
form
we can't
verbs
form
from
verbs
all
from
adjectives
all
and nouns
adjectives
of
in
one
nouns
syllable.
over one syllable.
Very good. Give me an example of a one syllable adjective from which we can't form a verb. Give me an example of a one syllable adjective from which we can't form a verb, please. An example
An
of a
example
one
of
more.
a
An
syllable.
example
An
of a
example
one
of
syllable
the
adjective
one syllable
from
adjective
which we
from
can't
which
form a
we can
verb
form a
is
verb
small.
is small.
Very good. Give me a sentence with the word obvious. Give me an example of a sentence with the word obvious, please. It is obvious
It
from
is
what he
obvious
says
from what
that
he
he is
says
not
that
interested
he is not
in the
interested
job.
in the job.
Do small children sometimes say they aren't tired when they obviously are? Do small children sometimes say they aren't tired when they obviously are? Yes, small
Yes,
children
some
sometimes
children
say
sometimes
they aren't
say
tired
they are
when they
tired
obviously
when they
are.
obviously are
Very good. Why? Why? Because they don't
because
want to
they
go to bed,
don't want to go to
etc.
bed, etc.
Very good. What is an ache? What is an ache? An ache is a
An ache
continuous
is a
physical pain,
continuous physical
such
pain,
as toothache,
such as toothache,
headache, stomach
headache,
ache,
stomachache,
earache, etc.
earache, etc.
What might we get if you ate too much? What might you get if you ate too much? I might get
I
stomach
might
ache
get
if
stomach
I
ache
ate
if
too
I
much.
ate too much.
Where should you go if you get toothache? Where should you go if you get toothache? I should go
I
to the
should go
dentist
to the
if I
dentist
get
if I
toothache.
get toothache.
What kind of things give you a headache? What kind of things give you a headache? The kind of things
The kind
that
of
give
things
me a
that
headache
give me a
are
headache,
noise, too
a
much
noise,
work,
too much
hot
work,
weather, etc.
hot weather, etc.
Wait, who was the last person to rule your country? Who was the last person to rule your country? Let's say Mr. Suga
Mr.
was the
Suga
last person
was the last
to
person
rule my country.
to rule my country.
Do you understand the rules of football? Do you understand the rules of football? Yes or no?
No,
I
I
don't.
don't
The
understand
rules of
the
football.
rule of football.
Do the rules of English grammar sometimes confuse you? Do the rules of English grammar sometimes confuse you? Yes, the
Yes,
rules of
the
English
rules of
grammar
English grammar
sometimes confuse me.
sometimes confuse me.
Do you find computers confusing? Do you find computers confusing? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
I
find
find
computers confusing.
computers confusing.
Would you be confused if I suddenly walked out of the room for no reason and didn't come back? Would you be confused if I suddenly walked out of the room for no reason and didn't come back? Yes, I'd be
Yes,
confused
I'd be
if you
confused if
suddenly
you
walked out of
suddenly
the
walk
room
out of
for
the
no
room
reason
for no
and didn't
reason
come back.
and didn't come back.
Very good. What can we say instead of should? What can we say instead of should? We can say
We
ought
can say ought
instead of should.
instead of should.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I ought to call
I
my
ought to
dad
call
because
my
it's
dad
his
because
birthday.
it's his birthday.
When we borrow money, ought we to pay it back as soon as possible? When we borrow money, ought we to pay it back as soon as possible? Yes. When
Yes,
we borrow money,
we borrow
we
money.
ought to
We
pay it
ought
back
to pay
as
it back
soon as
as
possible.
soon as possible.
Well, what ought we to do before crossing the road? What ought we to do before crossing the road? We ought to look
We ought to
both
look
ways
for both
before
ways
crossing the road.
before crossing the road.
Do you think children ought to be allowed to go to bed whenever they want? Do you think children ought to be allowed to go to bed whenever they want? No, I don't
No,
think
I don't
children
think
ought to be
children
allowed
ought to be
to go
allowed
to bed
to go to
whenever
bed
they want.
whenever they want.
Very good. Okay, and that's the end of our revision. Let's have new word. Okay, so let's start the first set. Okay, repeat. Rough,
Rough,
smooth,
smooth,
surface,
surface,
seasick,
seasick,
roughly.
lovely,
Very good. Okay, listen. The word surface is a noun. It means the top covering of something. For example, this is the top of the table. Or we can say this is the surface of the table. Smooth is an adjective. It means plain and level or even. For example, the surface of the table is smooth. Rough is an adjective. Rough has a lot of meaning. Number one, it is the opposite of smooth. It means uneven surface. For example, her hands were rough from hard work. The surface of a stone is rough. Number two, another meaning of rough is not calm, with strong winds or storm. For example, I don't like rough weather. I prefer calm weather. Number three, rough can also mean not feeling well. For example, I'm feeling rough to go out tonight. Number four, rough means causing or likely to cause harm or injury. For example, I think maybe rugby is the roughest sport one can play. Seasick is an adjective. It means feeling ill. When you travel in a boat because of a movement of the boat or ship in the water. For example, a rough sea makes me feel seasick. Roughly is an adverb. It means not exactly but close in numbers, quantity, meaning, etc. Like an estimate, roughly. For example, there were roughly 50 people there. Okay, let's practice. Is the surface of the table rough? Is the surface of the table rough? No. The
no,
surface of
the
that
size
table
of that
isn't rough.
table isn't
It's
rough.
smooth.
It's smooth.
When you travel by boat, do you prefer the sea to be rough? When you travel by boat, do you prefer the sea to be rough? No. When I
No,
travel
when
by boat,
I travel
I
by
don't
road,
prefer the
I don't
sea to
prefer
be rough.
the sea to be
I
rough.
prefer it
I
to be
prefer
calm.
it to be calm
Why? Why? Because a
because
rough sea
a rough sea
makes me feel seasick.
makes me feel sick.
Very good. If someone tells you that they're feeling rough, what do they mean? If someone tells you that they're feeling rough, what do they mean? If someone says
If someone
to
says
me that
to
they're
me
feeling rough,
that they're feeling
they
rough,
mean they
they
aren't
mean
feeling
they
very
aren't
well.
feeling very well.
Very good. Roughly, how many people would you say there were in China? Roughly, how many people would you say there were in China? I'd say
I
there were
say
roughly
there are
1
roughly
billion people
1 billion
in
people
China.
in China.
Do you like rough weather? Do you like rough weather? Yes or no?
No,
I
I
don't.
don't like rough
I
weather.
prefer calm weather.
I prefer calm weather.
Which do you think is roughest sport one can play? Which do you think is the roughest sport one can play? I think maybe
I think
rugby
maybe
is the
rough
roughest
baby
sport.
is
Is the roughest sport. Okay, one more. I think
I
maybe
think
rugby
maybe
is the
the
roughest sport
rugby is a rough
one
sport
can play.
one can play.
Very good. Okay, next repeat. Ground,
Round,
level,
level,
underground,
underground,
railway,
railway,
ground floor,
ground floor,
grounds.
grounds.
Very good. Okay, listen, by the word ground, we usually mean the surface of the land. For example, this building is built on the ground. Level can be used as a noun and an adjective. As a noun, it means one of several floors at different heights in a building, like level 1, level 2. For example, there are some shops in this town that are built below the level of the ground. As an adjective, it means not rising or falling or higher on one side, but even in all directions, horizontal or flat. For example, when a table is not level, we must put something under one of its legs. Underground can both use as an adjective and a noun. As an adjective, it means below the surface of the ground, underground. For example, an underground car park, an underground railway. As a noun, it means a system of trains that run below the ground in a large city. For example, the New York subway, Paris metro, and London underground. Railway is a noun. It is a system of tracks on which trains travel. For example, a railway station, railroad cars, etc. Ground floor is a noun. It is the floor of a building that is at the ground level. It is also called first floor. For example, there are shops on the ground floor of my building. Grounds means the land around the building. For example, the grounds of some famous old buildings in my country are open to the public. Let's practice. What do we usually mean by the word ground? What do we usually mean by the word ground? By the word
We
ground,
by the word
we
ground,
usually
we
mean
usually
the
mean
surface of the
the face
land.
of the land.
Are there any shops in your town built below the level of the ground? Are there any shops in your town built below the level of the ground? Yes or no?
No,
There aren't any
there
shops
aren't any
in
shops
my town
in my
built
town
below the level of the
below
ground.
the
One more.
level.
No, there aren't
No,
any
there
shops
aren't any
in my
shops
town
in my
built
town
below
built
the
below
level of the
the
ground.
level of the ground.
When a table is not level, what must we do? When a table is not level, what must we do? When a table
When
is
a
not
table
level,
is not
we
level,
must put
we
something
must put
under
something
one of
under
its
one
legs.
of its
Well,
legs.
has your town got an underground railway? Has your town got an underground railway? Yes or
It,
yes or no?
yes,
There, my
there
towns
my
got
towns
an
got
underground
an underground
railway.
railway.
What's on the ground floor of your building? What's on the ground floor of your building? There are some
There
shops
are some
on the
stuffs
ground floor
on the ground
of
floor
my building.
of my building.
Where's the biggest football ground in your town? Where's the biggest football ground in your town? The biggest
The
football
biggest
ground
football
in my
ground
town is
in my town is Park A.
very good. Okay, so now let's move on to reading. Okay, so our reading is at stage 5, paragraph page 385. Last head word was hyphen. Okay, start with the head word boil, fry, roast.
Boil, fry, roast. Tell me three ways of cooking potatoes. Three ways of cooking potatoes are boiling, frying, and roasting.
Mhm.
Do you prefer fried eggs or boiled eggs? I prefer boiled eggs to fried eggs. How